Hey everyone, it's No Smile John with Disruptive Weather. After these last few days that have been relatively quiet, non-disruptive, where the only disruptive part has been the pollen affecting my allergies, Mother Nature is ready to get back to work. Severe weather chances are increasing across Oklahoma for Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And what I'm going to do is walk you through what the various hazards are being hail, winds, or tornadoes, and then give you the models, forecasts, as well as the ingredients that would be coming together to result in the severe weather. Okay, so what you can see here is the 300 millibar flow. Again, this is about 10 to 12 kilometers up, and the large scale pattern features a trough up here in southeast Canada, a ridge going up through the front range of the Rockies, and then a trough in Nevada, followed by another trough that you can barely see off the edge of the screen west of California. There's a strong jet right over here over New Mexico and Arizona and northern Mexico into Colorado. That was this morning at 7 a.m. I'm going to zoom ahead to tomorrow evening to see what Sunday evening might look like. What you can see for Sunday evening is you have now a ridge over the eastern US, including where that trough was in southeast Canada. And now you have a jet right over central and eastern Oklahoma. And then out here you have that low pressure system, upper level low, with a strong jet on the southeast side of it. There's a relative minima in between these two features with a little trough, a subtle trough right in here. Going ahead to the next day, just to kind of give you a broad view, you could see here's that trough out west. Strongest flow is on the east side. One thing to note is this is a positively tilted trough. If you watched one of my earlier videos, positive tilts are not necessarily the most favorable for large severe weather outbreaks, but it's not a showstopper. I've seen where you can have a positive tilt and still have lots of severe reports over the plains. Then you have the jet on the southeast side coming over the plains, including western Oklahoma. And finally, looking at Tuesday, this is as far out as this model goes, you can see the strong jet stream is now over Oklahoma, the trough is over Colorado, and the strong jet goes all the way up to southeast Canada from New Mexico and Mexico. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the 3 kilometer NAM for the severe weather parameters. So now let's go down, zoom in on Oklahoma specifically, and then we're going to go look at 850 millibar winds. So let's go back for tomorrow at 7 p.m. What you can see here is if I hover over these, you can see around 35 knot, 30 to 35 knot flow right over here in western Oklahoma. You have stronger flow to the east, but as you see, we'll see here in a minute, this area doesn't have a lot of instability and is capped. So I'm going to focus now on just tomorrow. Let's go down and look at how much instability we have, as well as moisture. So what you can see here is Oklahoma is firmly entrenched in the moist tongue. The other day we were at the leading edge, but now we are firmly engulfed in this moist tongue with dew point of 68 by tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Let's see how much instability that may equate to. What you can see here is there is quite a bit of instability to our west, and this is way more than sufficient for severe weather. Let's see how strong the cap may be in the same region. As you can see, it's weakly capped in spots, but some other spots have almost no cap whatsoever. And out here where you see these big purples, high cap levels, those are likely storms that have initiated. And where it's storming, you sometimes see these higher cap levels because you have rain and cool outflow from rain-cooled air coming down from the storm. The next thing I want to look at is the significant tornado parameter index. So what you can see here is the values ranging from above 1, where you see this very light bluish green color, up to 2.6, 2.5 down here in northern Texas and the Red River area. Typically, values above 1 is where most significant tornadoes occur. So let's look at the reflectivity. And sure enough, there you can see storms out in western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle border, right near I-40, some more down here by Childress, Texas, and further south from there. Let's go ahead and see what the 3-hour max helicity is. Helicity is updraft rotation. So what you can see here is it's got updraft rotation right here near I-40 in Shamrock, Texas. Not saying this is tornadic per se, but definitely picking up on rotation in the thunderstorm. That being said, we are likely going to be going out storm chasing tomorrow, we being the disruptive weather team. Me. Okay, my wife goes with us too. But this is where we think we're going to be heading, is probably west on I-40. So, now let's go ahead and look at the next day, Monday. So again, I'm going to start with the dew points, and I'm going to go to 7 p.m. Wow. Okay. This is the first time I'm looking at this. You can see we have a dew point of 70 degrees in Oklahoma City, low 70s in southern Oklahoma. So this is extreme moisture right here for April or even May. So you can see the moist tongue goes way up to the northeast from here. The dry line is right here. So let's go ahead and see what the instability looks like. Also, let's take a look at the 850 winds. I skipped over that. Oh yeah, got pretty good flow, 30, 35, 40 knots over the northwest third of Oklahoma. So that's good for low level shear and that's what ends up fueling tornadic thunderstorms. See how much of a cap we have. Okay. Well, this is a little bit more concerning if you are a storm chaser. It's very helpful if you don't like storms at all. But this is a large capped environment right here. Even where we saw the 70 dew point in Oklahoma City, we are capped here. The only area that's uncapped is this little skinny zone out here in southwest and western Oklahoma. The reason I bring that up as an issue, even though it's uncapped out here and you can get storms, is it's common that these storms will fire and then they'll move east and they could potentially die when they hit this cap. So it doesn't have a lot of room to run, basically. Now, I take that, I want to throw a caveat in there. I've seen where storms have gone, hit this cap, and they just keep going and producing tornadoes despite the strong cap. But I've seen it more often than not where they start to die as they hit the strong cap. All right. So we're going to go back to let's look at the sig tor parameter. Oh wow. Yeah, that's monstrous. If you click here, you'll probably see, yeah, really good helicity. There's the good dew point of 69 and 78. So that's really good. So you could, if you can get storms in that environment, they could produce strong tornadoes. That's the long and short of it. All right. Now, since that model doesn't go out to 84 hours, only this one, we'll look at this one. First thing I'm going to look at again is the dew points on Tuesday. As you can see, we have mid upper 60 dew points, again, well within the moist tongue. And then going down to instability, you can see surface-based CAPE or instability is really good, especially up here in Kansas, but down here in Oklahoma, still looking good. It's skinny, but hey, you still have like 1800 over here. It's not nothing. It's just not extreme instability like you have over here by the dry line. And then you can see really weak cap right here. Again, you might have a little bit of an issue with room to run, but you have 3 counties. You might be able to get something in this zone here. And again, if it can stay together after running into the cap, it may even do more. So let's look at the significant tornado parameter index. And there you have it, really strong again. That's likely because you have a strong 850 jet right overhead. Oh yeah, look at that strong flow over Oklahoma. Almost the whole state is above 30 knots. with 40 knots up here in northern Oklahoma. To make a prediction based on this, it looks like you could have storm threats the next few days, especially in western half of Oklahoma. So if you're out here in western Oklahoma and you're wanting to have a reason to cancel plans, this is definitely one of those reasons. All right, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is to see what the Storm Prediction Center is saying. So we're first going to take a look at the convective outlook for tomorrow. That's today right here. That's ongoing. I guess there might have been a tornado reported in southern Nebraska. Anyway, focusing on Oklahoma, tomorrow they have the western half of Oklahoma in a slight risk. I can say I agree with that. The big question I think we have is, are storms going to fire out here? The model we looked at had storms firing. So this area, if you can get a storm to reside in it, could potentially produce a tornado and it could be significant. So I agree with that. Wind, 15% chance of severe wind, and hail, 15% out here with potential for strong, large hail. Okay, we're going to go ahead to the next day, Monday. If you remember, Monday was characterized by a skinny zone that had high cape but uncapped, whereas a lot of the eastern half of Oklahoma was capped and you had a little bit of room to run. What looks like here is if you can get a storm in this zone moving northeast, it can reside in that uncapped environment for a much longer period of time. And so they have the slight coming up here. They have a probabilistic, they have significant severe in this hatched area, a 15% coming all the way up to the Oklahoma City metro. So this is the area that they're focusing on. So that's somewhat overlays with where we were highlighting with the uncapped environment and high instability and even sig-tor parameter. Okay. And then finally, we're going to look at day 4. This is for Tuesday. And as you can see, they have the area highlighted that we were looking in. Again, this eastern half of Oklahoma may be capped, but out here by the dry line, you can get some severe weather in that zone. There's a big zone of uncapped environment out there. So well, not a big, but 2 to 3 counties, and if it's moving at a good angle, it could reside in it even longer. So if it's moving northeast instead of straight east, it could be in that zone for a little bit longer. So that's the forecast. I'll provide some updated, probably shorts while we're out there tomorrow chasing. So please stay tuned and I'll be able to provide you updates and show you what we're actually observing while we're out there in the field. Otherwise, have a good Saturday evening and we'll be in touch tomorrow.